So, good evening. Hello, ladies, and welcome to the second session of IWA Empowers Women. Before we proceed, I'd like to invite the President of the Indian Women's Association, Dr. Tehseen Khan, to please say a few words.
Thank you, Neeta. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Indian Women's Association's Women Empowerment. To lend a helping hand has been IWA's motto and mission for past 2 decades. Reaching out and making a positive impact to those in need has been the guiding light for the dedicated team of activists. More and more women, children, elderly, and individuals with special needs are able to find solace and comfort. We could not have done this without you, our incredible network of friends and supporters. I reflect on just how much IWA has accomplished over 24 years and how many lives have been impacted. This has taken courage and perseverance, along with kindness and compassion. It's time now to lend a helping hand to ourselves. And with this in mind, IWA started the Women Empowerment. Like Neeta said, it's the second in the series of women empowerment workshops and seminars we are having. We want to learn and teach skills so we can improve ourselves and have a positive impact on society. The intent is not to compare experiences between men and women. That's an outdated and ineffective approach. Our goal is to unlock our superpowers and rise above our beliefs that limit us, that has been ingrained into us over the years. My hope is that we walk away feeling uplifted by our talents, proud of our achievements, and inspired by the magic we are about to create. Thank you.
I'm going to take the honor and the liberty to present and introduce our speaker for today, or rather our presenter, workshop presenter, the lady of the day, Isra Khan. Isra Khan has spent her career starting up learning structures with organizations to drive high performance and transformational change. The Director of Organizational Development at the Yuma Regional Medical Center in Arizona, US. She leads the organizational development team, partnering with leaders and teams to make the right things easier to do through education and coaching. Isra has experience in higher education, nonprofit organizations, and in tech startups. But I think she finally found her heart in the medical field. So she settled in healthcare, where she has had her best adventures.
It is my honor and a privilege to hear everybody introduce themselves. I've already started making notes about what I've heard so far, and that's really going to be integrated in our time together. Thank you again so much for doing that. I heard some wonderful superpowers, so hold on to those because I'm going to be bringing those back and asking you to sort of reflect on what those superpowers mean to you in the context of leadership. So our overview for our time together today, we're going to spend a little bit of time sort of looking at some data, looking at some research out there that tells us a story about what is the landscape right now globally for women in leadership. And this could be in formal positions, this can be in informal positions. Basically, if you carry influence in your communities, in your surroundings, that tells you that you have a leadership responsibility. So one of my favorite quotes is, you don't need a title to be a leader. Okay, so we'll talk about the landscape. We will uncover what are the barriers that exist for you personally as it relates to leading and influencing your communities. We'll also clarify what is truly the definition of leadership and what is it not, right? What are some common misconceptions that we have about leadership that is ingrained in our environments, is ingrained in our society, that really isn't leadership? So we'll make those distinctions. And then finally, I'm going to be talking to you about 3 very practical strategies that you can utilize to overcome some of the barriers that we will uncover. And that will include shifting our mindsets. Okay. So if that sounds good, give me a thumbs up. And if you're excited, give me 2 thumbs up. Okay, good. Yay. Lovely. Okay, so let's get started with assessing the landscape. So the following slide I'm going to show you is a research paper that was published by McKinsey Company. It is a international consulting firm that does a whole host of things, and they are very well respected in the leadership development industry. So what I'm about to show you is essentially the changes that have occurred between 2016 and 2021, so 5 years. What has been the change in representation for women in different leadership roles, okay? So when I show you this, there we go. So you'll see 2016, 2021, you can see the big numbers in there are how many percentage points have either increased or decreased in terms of representation of women by level. Okay, so I want you to take a look at this. Take 15 seconds to kind of orient yourself to this graph, and I want anybody to share with me, unmute yourself and share with me, what do you notice? What jumps out at you? What do you notice? Anyone? Anyone?
Hello, is it that people, the women who are joining at a higher level are more in number as we are moving forward in the century?
That's a very good observation. Yes, absolutely. What else?
Women in top positions are less.
Yes, absolutely. So the top positions are less overall, right? But also, if you notice, the C-suite and senior vice president and manager positions and all of that, we are all of these positions are seeing gains in representation, right? For the last 5 years. You can even see the C-suite managers, 4 percentage points, 5 percentage points. So there are gains in the pipeline. So we see women being more represented over the last 5 years in all levels of leadership, right? But despite these gains in the pipeline, women continue to remain underrepresented across the ladder, right? At the higher you go on the level, the less and less representation overall that you see. Okay, so the takeaway here is that what is concerning is that there are environmental issues, there are societal issues, there are systemic issues that exist in organizations and spaces today that we do not have control over. Okay, so despite the gain in representation over the last 5 years, it still remains a concern. So those concerns are valid, and I want to sort of acknowledge those systemic issues. The system, our environments, the society, the culture is still lagging a little bit, and I don't want I don't want to dismiss that, but could you please mute your microphone, please? So the takeaway from this is I want you all to understand that women do not need fixing, okay? You all and all the women out there, we face an underrepresentation, but it is not our fault, okay? Women don't need fixing, the system needs fixing. But what women can do is to continue to unlock our superpowers and continue to move up the ladder with representation, with the knowledge that the systemic issues remain. Okay, so this workshop is not going to be about the systemic issues, it's really going to be on what we can control. Okay. So let's talk about what do we mean by leadership? Okay. There are a lot of misconceptions, as I mentioned earlier, about what leadership is versus what the best leaders do versus what they don't. So we're going to play a little game. The next slide is going to include 4 statements, and I want you all to tell me either on the chat box or unmute yourself whether it is true or false, or a myth or a fact. Ready? Okay, number 1. The best leaders are extroverts.
No.
Myth or fact?
Myth.
Okay, I heard no.
Myth.
Myth. Anybody else say fact?
Myth. First point, myth.
Okay. I see some in the chat box. Oh, I see a couple of myths. Okay, okay. For those of you that said it's a myth, why? Why are you saying it's a myth?
Leadership
Why is it not
has,
true?
Can I? May I? I didn't ask for
Yes,
permission.
of course. Please do.
I think leadership has different forms, as you said. I missed that part, I think, when I had to leave. But I think everybody has their own style of leadership. And I personally have known of many men and women who are not the outgoing types, but they have their own quiet style of leadership. And they do it in different ways. So I don't think, personally, I may be wrong, but I don't think this is true. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'll show the answers when we go through all of them. Okay, second point. Leaders do not need to have all the answers. Myth or fact?
Fact.
Fact.
Fact, okay. Okay, I see fact. Okay, fact, very good. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, next, third point. The best leaders have strong authority over their subordinates. Myth or fact?
Myth.
Myth.
Okay, I have one myth. Myth.
Myth.
Okay. Myth.
Myth.
Okay. Chaitali, you said contentious. Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's a myth? Why are you saying that that is false?
I didn't say it's false.
So if
Oh,
I
just
can
to
answer
anybody.
that, yeah,
Yes.
if I can answer that, according to me, the best leaders should be able to influence their subordinates and direct them towards the goal, and not necessarily have an authority. So it's more like having a positive influence and then achieving your goal through your subordinates. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, that's a very interesting. That's a very interesting point. Okay, great. Last, the best leaders are born, not made. Myth or fact?
Best leaders. So don't know.
The best leaders are born.
It's a myth.
Okay, we see some.
Yeah.
It's a myth. Okay. Anybody says fact? Okay, so here we go. Here are the answers. The best leaders are extroverts. That is a complete myth. Okay. For years, it was very, very common that only extroverted personalities could be successful leaders. It was very much a traditional form of leadership. So introverts, on the other hand, they must nurture extroverted characteristics to be successful, but they can make very great leaders. Okay, so introverts really have strong characteristics of listening and quiet reflection, and these things are critical components of very sound decision making. Okay, so if you feel like you're an introvert, and if you feel like, oh, I'm introverted, I can't be a good leader, that is a limiting belief. Okay, research has shown that both introverts and extroverts can make very good leaders. It's just the way that they come across is very different. Okay. Next, leaders do not need to have all the answers, and that is a fact. So congratulations to those of you that said fact. Some leaders actually think that they need to be smarter and know more than anyone working for them. Okay, this logic may have been very true in the industrial age, very, very long time ago. When somebody rose to the occasion and they needed to know how to perform every single job, for example, in manufacturing companies. But that's no longer the case, because our culture today is very, very fast moving. So it's no longer possible for leaders to know everything. And it's not even desirable to know everything anymore. Today's leaders actually need to be willing to tap into the skills and expertise of the smart people around them. Okay. I have experienced leaders for the last 15 years who believe that they don't need to have all the answers, but how they behave is very different. Okay, there's a disconnect. They feel like, oh, I don't know enough, everybody's going to be smarter than me. That's okay. You need to be surrounded by smart people in order to be a good leader. Okay, so next, the best leaders have strong authority over subordinates. That is 100% true. They, just for the reasons that all of you mentioned. I love how someone here just talked about you need to have positive influence around the people that you lead and oversee. It's not necessarily strong authority. Now, this is a common misconception in women, because women believe that they need to change themselves to be more aggressive, to be more strong, to be more demanding, so that they'll be seen as an effective leader. Believe me, it's true. I see it all the time in my daily work. They think that they need to come across differently in order for people to listen to them. That is not true, because those leaders actually don't know what true leadership and effective leadership is. The other piece too is that in your language and in your daily work, I would highly recommend that you do not use the word subordinates. You use team, you use team members. The word subordinate is very outdated, and it sends the message that you are better than the people that you oversee. Okay, try not to use the word subordinate, because it sends a message that your people don't matter. They're subordinates. No, they're humans, they're people. Okay. Lastly, the best leaders are born, not made. This is probably the most dangerous myth about leadership, that they are born, that there's a genetic factor to leadership. This myth basically means that people can have certain charismatic qualities and other people do not. And that is a very dangerous myth. It's actually nonsense. The opposite is true. Leaders are made rather than born. If leaders were born and not made, I wouldn't have a job. Okay, because my experience is in leadership development. Okay, so that is the big takeaway. So if we summarize the definition of leadership, it is essentially what you all have said. It is the art. It is the art of social influence which maximizes the efforts of others towards the achievement of a goal. Okay? The key words here is art, influence, and others. Leadership is never about you, okay, as a person. Leadership is about influencing others so that they can bring their best in order to achieve a goal together. Okay. What questions do you have before I move on to our next component? No questions? Okay, good. That means I'm doing a good job. Okay. So the next slide that I'm going to show you is more research by McKinsey Company again. So for this study, they interviewed hundreds and hundreds of individuals in leadership positions. And they asked them, what are the specific traits and qualities of a leader that are most important to tackle future challenges ahead of them, okay? Especially in the pandemic, especially with a lot of change, especially with globalization and transformational change. What are the most critical qualities of a leader in the future? And then they ask them, which of these critical qualities are applied more? Men, women, or equal? Okay, so these are the results. So on the far left-hand side, these are the 9 leadership traits that were found to be the most critical by order. Okay, and then you can see inspiration, participative decision-making, rewards, people development, and role modeling all are the top 5 traits that are important for critical challenges ahead. And it was stated that women apply these more than men. Control, corrective action, individualistic decision-making are not that important, and men apply that more. Intellectual stimulation and efficient communication, women and men apply equally. So again, based off of this graph, what are you noticing? What message, what story does this piece of research tell you about women in leadership?
Women are more qualified to be leaders.
Okay, good. What else?
Women are more into doing by showing things. I mean, they don't impose. They so role model. I mean, so that is, I think, that makes the difference, because they do it and they show it. They don't impose things on the team or something.
Yeah, very, very good. Very good. Yeah, excellent. This is a very important piece of research for the future. Women have qualities and characteristics and traits. They apply it more, and they are more poised to address challenges in leadership in the future. The challenges in the future do not involve control. They do not involve corrective action. They do not involve individualistic decision-making. Men do that. What's most important is development, role modeling for the future. And guess what? The good news, women actually naturally do that more. So this is good news, but here's the bad news. Remember that previous graph I showed you? For the last 5 years, women are still underrepresented. What's happening? What's wrong? What's the issue?
Can I?
Yes.
Yes. So I sometimes feel that women, we are, we kind of underrate ourselves. We actually don't know our true potential, and I think that causes all the problems. for us. So
Mm.
yeah, so I would just want to share a personal example here. So when I was looking
Yes,
for
please do.
yeah, so when I was looking for this new job and we were negotiating the salary part, I finally agreed to what my boss said. And then, after that, I watched a video and after that, I realized that I made a mistake and I could have easily negotiated and have got the salary that I wanted. And because of that video, I realized that I could not identify my true potential. And that is why I feel that at times I am underpaid. So at our organization,
Wow.
it's not that, yeah, so it's not that women and men are, so we are actually not as a company a policy, we are not allowed to reveal the salary that we get. So that's the thing. So we don't know what everyone gets. But what I feel is that the kind of work that I give, and so if I would have negotiated, I would have definitely got the salary that I wanted. But I was not able to
Yeah.
judge or place myself in the right box, and that is why I am underpaid today.
Thank you for sharing that. Does anybody else have a similar experience? Just raise your
Yes.
hand.
How do you, okay, so I have something to add here. May I?
Yes, please.
So the thing is that I think as women, we are not able to market ourselves correctly. I've noticed in my place of work, just exactly like what Lulua said, that, for example, I'll give you an example. It's my first book, and it was the launch of my book. It was not a very big amount, and I needed a sponsor. And I hesitated because going out and asking for money is not something that I do. But this is not something that I was asking for myself. And it was a book, and it's a book which involves women, and it's about Kuwait. And therefore, but I go on berating myself that is a quality. And I think to be in leadership, that is a quality you need to nurture. It took me 2 or 3 months to get the sponsorship, that very small amount, which I think if it was a man in my position, he would have got it in a week's time. And I still feel that I haven't yet developed that quality, that ability to market myself and to, to get what I think I deserve. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Did someone else have their hand raised? Please go ahead and share your
Yeah, that's
thoughts.
again, absolutely
Yeah.
aligning to what Lulua and Chaitali said, was about, if you look at the graph, it's about we are more team people and more content in whatever we think is shown in front of us, rather than having that individual decision making and say, no, this is it. This is how it's going to be. So we really don't take that one step up and say it can be better, or it can, it could be the next thing, rather than being content in just what we agree to and whatever is shown in front of us, that this is it. This is how we agree to. So I think it's about having that efficient communication, speaking up at the right time, and really saying, whether you like it or not, this is what my opinion is. So really being opinionated is something that I think should help women to actually come out there and represent.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Who else has raised their hand?
Can I speak?
Go ahead. Go. Yes.
Yeah, I feel there are two issues why we are underrepresented. First is the patriarchy kind of setup we have been brought up in from childhood, patriarchal system, in which it is always told that we are not important. We are second. We are important only after the male child or later on the husbands. And second part, which becomes a problem, is we are the ones who are always forced to suppress our career ambitions and everything related to it because of the family, because of children, their priorities. So that pulls us down in our Though we start off the same pace as the guys, but we are pulled down because of this heavy weightage, that we have to accommodate the children's needs, which I don't believe at all is not important. It is most important. But because of that, we are not able to go as high at the same pace as the guys. So we have to take a step back because of this issue. Because we are
Thank you
playing
for
dual roles.
sharing
We are
that,
playing
Dr.
dual
Reena.
roles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I see one more
Thank you.
person. Yes, go ahead.
It's me, Alicia. I wanted to share a little bit about my experience that I worked earlier in bank, and where the guys, they get the accommodations, they get their, more salary than the ladies. And when we raised this issue to HR department, saying that we work equal hours, we are giving like total dedication and everything, and why the guys are getting the house allowances and the petrol and everything. So what they come up with, they're saying because they are a guy, they are running the family. And it did not make any sense, because what do you think? What are we doing here? So why the guys are getting more benefits than the ladies? So, but they had no answer for this. And because of this, it used to always hit you, because we are giving equal hours of working. We are giving our full support to help all the IT department and everything. Let me tell you something. We were like 12, there were 12 guys, and I was the only one lady working in bank that time in IT department. But I was not treated equally. And that really hurted me a lot, because why the guys are getting more paid than me? Of course, as you previously somebody mentioned, that we had no right to discuss our salaries or anything. But still, when it comes to every year, the raise, that, okay, this guy is getting an increment here, this, but my number used to never come, because they used to always say, no, they have they have to run the family, and they have this commitment, that commitment. It didn't make any sense here. So that used to be really bad.
I'm sorry that you experienced that. That sounds like a very isolating experience. But thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate everyone's thoughts. And one thing that I want to share with you is that it is sad and it is depressing almost to think about all of these experiences that we all have had. One thing that I also want to share is there is a big issue that we as women are facing in our environments. And all of you who have shared so far have basically said it. So I'll summarize it. So this is a very, very big message that I want you to sit with. Too much effort on women is spent trying to fit into the mold of the traditional benchmark of leadership. We are a square peg and we're trying to fit ourselves into a round hole, because that is what leadership has been defined as for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. It's been run by men and it is becoming outdated, right? It was a traditional masculine type of role that was exemplified by the majority of the senior most people, and some, female colleagues were not considered for anything. And even to this day, based off of your examples. And so what do we end up doing? We end up either not choosing to move forward because we don't fit, or we try to mold ourselves and change ourselves to fit into the mold. That is both ineffective, it is tiring. And so what the message needs to be is, let us not try to change ourselves to fit into the system. Let us announce and let us accentuate the corners, the sharp corners of ourselves, the sharp features of ourselves, so that the mold that we fit in changes, okay? Too much time and effort is spent trying to fit into the traditional benchmark of leadership. And I heard many of you in the beginning say that their superpower is to not give up. I'm not giving up, I'm resilient, I will run through walls to make this happen, I will make it happen, okay? keep those superpowers, but remember not to change yourself, your true self, to try and fit into a traditional masculine form of leadership, because that's not going to work. Let's say that you do. Let's say like, oh, well, I've changed my personality. I've done this, I've done that, and I have fit in. Great. But it will not be sustainable. You will plateau, you will get tired, and your satisfaction will just become stagnant because you fit in, you've changed yourself, now what? You got the money, you got this, you got that, you got the promotion, now what? We're not happy because we're not being our true selves as women, okay? Like someone said earlier, we're not marketing ourselves. The other piece too is, especially during the pandemic, women have faced more extreme cases of exhaustion and burnout because of this particular trend of trying to fit into the traditional form of leadership during a global crisis, okay? Research has shown that women are burning out at faster rates than their male counterparts, okay? I want to pause right now because we did start a little bit delayed. And I wanted to ask the group if it would be more helpful to continue our conversation for the next 20 minutes and then schedule a follow-up in a week's time to come back and continue. Or is it more helpful to stop now, do a wrap-up and follow up next week and continue? So option one is go on for 20 minutes and follow up next week, or option two is wrap up now and follow up next week. Option one or option two? I'm seeing a few ones, any two? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of people say option one. For those of you that said option two, if you have to leave, please feel free to do so. The session is being recorded, so you can come back and review the session, and we will definitely follow up next week, and we will figure out those details and send you the Zoom links, etc., to continue the conversation. Okay. Excellent. Okay, so we'll go for 20 more minutes. We'll wrap up and we'll follow up. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your preferences. Okay, so we talked about too much efforts being spent trying to change ourselves. That's no longer sustainable, okay, for ourselves and even for our families, for the people that we love, hold near and dear to us, as well as the companies that we work for, the communities that we are part of. So when we talk about how do we lead, how do we develop ourselves as leaders? There are four components, there are four competencies for leading ourselves. So what they are: leading yourself, leading others, leading for results, and leading strategy. Okay, so a big picture strategy. The traditional benchmark of leadership has been the bottom, leading results and leading strategy. We can focus on ourselves, we can focus on our subordinates later. What is most important is leading results. I need production, I need numbers, I need this, I need that. That has been the focus of leadership development, especially in the traditional form of leadership. What has to happen is there needs to be a shift to focus more at the beginning on the first two, the top two, okay? So we need to focus more on leading ourselves. So who are we as leaders? What are our gifts? What are our superpowers? How can we continue to define ourselves and show the environment that we have, that this is who we are and this is the value that we bring to the table, because the future global challenges actually call for these specific qualities, not corrective action, not control, not authority. So how do we do that with leading ourselves and leading others? Okay, now all this is said and good in theory. How do we lead ourselves? How do we lead others? How do we develop self-awareness? But there are a lot of factors that get in the way. There are push and pull factors. So the push factors and the pull factors are different. The pull factors are what happens in our mind, right? What do we tell ourselves? And the push factor is external environment telling us different messages. So pull, I'm not good at this. My voice will not be heard. I have family responsibilities. I might fail. I don't want to be seen as bossy or aggressive or demanding. These are internal dialogues that are not helpful to us. The push factors that don't help us is, oh, well, women are too emotional to be leaders. They prioritize family over everything else, so we can't trust them. Society expects us to behave in a certain way, like the patriarchal society. Organizations don't develop women, and the culture in companies is often male-centric. I work at a hospital. 75% of our workforce are women. On our board of directors and executives, only 20% are women. So even in a hospital that has a majority population of women, the leaders are men, majority, okay? So those are some different factors here. Now here are the major pieces. So if we are to shift from those factors into leading ourselves and leading others, there are going to be a couple of barriers that we face. And it's important to learn what the barriers are and define them so that we are able to overcome them. So the two big barriers, in my opinion, and research and experience are these two things. Number one, there's no support, especially from other women. There's a lack of support between women. Forget about men, okay? Between women, there's a sense of lack of support. And the second piece is women tend to have diminishing behaviors. What that means is the same qualities and characteristics that make you strong can also have a diminishing effect on your leadership. We're going to talk about those in a few minutes. So let's talk first about the lack of support. There is a phenomenon that happens, especially in the traditional perspective of leadership, where if women rise to the top, that means that these women are threatened by other women who are also trying to get to the top. Okay, so there are some women and there's some organizations and cultures and communities where women will rise to the top because they worked hard. They were, they never gave up. They rose to the top. They were able to do it. And they put negativity out in the world. They darken other women's shine. They don't compliment other women's work. They dismiss other women's input. They're just maintaining themselves that way. And they don't support other women to develop them because it becomes an individualistic accomplishment, right? I got to the top. No one can take my place. Okay. Ms. Chaitali, you have something to add, and then I want to hear from you all as well if you've experienced this.
Yeah, I just wanted to share something. There is a lack of women members in the parliament, politicians in Kuwait, despite the fact that Kuwaiti women got the right to vote 2007. We don't have too many women, and we don't have anyone in the parliament at present. And I happened to ask Dr. Masoom Al-Mubarak this question. Why is it, who is Kuwait's first woman cabinet minister, that why is it that we don't see Kuwaiti women in the parliament? And then she made a statement which kind of I've carried with me, I was shocked when she first said it. And then when and then she explained to me, and she said what you told me just now, what you said, Isra, just now. She said, women are women's greatest enemies. And flat statement, women are women's greatest enemies. And I said, what are you talking about? She said, yes. They don't want to see, one of the reasons that you don't see women politicians is that women don't vote for them. Though they know that these women are qualified, they know that they can try to bring about a change, but they just don't want to vote for them. And she said, in my personal life as a politician and as an academician, I have faced this in my life, and I've seen that every time it's a man who has mentored me, it is a man who has supported me, but my female colleagues have always pulled me down. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you for sharing that. That is very, very insightful. Does anyone else have something to add to that idea of women supporting other women?
So again, I would want to share a personal experience. So I have a male boss and a female boss, okay, where I work. So I am very comfortable. Initially, when I started working over there, I was very comfortable sharing whatever problems I had with my male boss. But I wouldn't ever go to the female boss with the understanding that she will be judgmental and she'll always judge me on it. But then later on, when so this was, and then, you know, I actually realized that that was a mindset that I had, that she would be judgmental. Because when I started sharing with her, she was more open to things and she was able to help me better with my problems rather than the male boss. But as we mentioned, that we as women, we always start to think, so she's going to be like that. She'll say this about me. She'll think this about me. Or because she's a woman, she would tell me that why, if I am able to do it, why you are not able to do it. So we have our preconceived notions, and that is why we tend to kind of not support other women. That is what I feel as a person here.
Now that's an excellent example. Thank you for sharing that. Is this assumption? You know, why do we have this assumption as women? Like, I'm not going to reach out and offer support, or I'm not going to ask for support from other women because they know they are convinced that they will have judgments. But you have a terrific example of like, no, there's actually a better experience getting support from another woman, especially in your environment. Now, this is something that I want you to take away. There is research. It's a chemical reaction. When we get stressed, what happens in our bodies? What happens chemically in our bodies? Doctors and physicians, I'm looking at you. You're on mute, dear mother.
Stress hormones are secreted, steroids.
Okay, what are those stress hormones?
Corticosteroids. Adrenaline.
Yeah, so you have cortisol, you have adrenaline. Yeah, so those are the two, like the popular stress hormones, right? So when adrenaline, you are stressed in a stressful, acute or chronic stressed environment, your adrenaline surges. What that means is that all of these things are getting sent to your brain, danger, 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 danger. Okay, and when that happens, your blood rushes from your brain to your extremities to either fight or run away, fight or flight. So when the blood leaves your brain, you can't think anymore. You're dumb, okay? But there's another less common stress hormone that is released that nobody really talks about, oxytocin. Oxytocin is a stress hormone, but it is also a hormone that is stimulated when you get a hug. When you get a hug from someone, when you feel good about everything, oxytocin gets released. And when oxytocin gets released, you want to connect with other people. Okay. So oxytocin is a stress hormone, meaning that we as humans are naturally wired, chemically wired, to seek out support from others when we are stressed. Okay, it's natural. So all the more reason for women who share so many commonalities and can empathize with one another when we are stressed. That is the chemical power of support, is remember your oxytocin, okay? Adrenaline is popular. Okay, oxytocin will get released. Don't isolate yourself and reach out to other women. Excellent example earlier with overcoming a misconception about women are going to judge me. They're not. And if they do, well, find other women. Okay. So this is something, the two big barriers. The first barrier to overcome is that lack of support. And remember the oxytocin. The second big barrier that I want to spend a few more minutes on, and then we'll pick up next time, is these diminishing behaviors. Okay. Now, one of the things that we talked about were your superpowers, right? So I'm strong-willed, I'm hardworking, I'm an optimist, things of that nature. But one of the things we need to remember is that if we don't manage the intensity of those superpowers, they can actually work against us, especially in leadership behaviors. So for example, one of my superpowers is asking questions. I love to ask questions. I'm very curious. I love asking people questions when I work with them. If I don't manage the intensity of that superpower, it can feel that I'm interrogating people. Okay. Like, why do you do it this way? I'm seeing a lot of people nodding their heads. Like, I'm like that, I'm like that. Okay. That is what is an accidental or unintentional diminishing behavior. Okay. So a lot of research was done, and I want to show you 9 very common diminishing tendencies. Okay. So here's what they are. Now, this is all a part of leading yourself. Okay, we're going into developing yourself as a leader, which is self-awareness. So here are 9 different types of diminishing behaviors. I actually sent more details and descriptions about what each of these are on the WhatsApp group, but these are the 9. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more detail on 4. And based off of what I share on those 4, I want to hear from you, like, okay, do you identify with some of these? Okay. So the first one is called the idea fountain. Okay. If you are an idea fountain, your intention is basically, we can never have too many ideas, right? Leaders with these tendencies tend to share ideas like they're like a fountain of water. Okay, like it just always ideas. They believe that the more ideas they toss around, the more ideas they'll spark in others. Okay, but if you have a leader that is an idea fountain, their experience can be very different. They'll perceive you very differently if these intensity of this intention is not managed. So this is what it's going to feel like. It's feeling like you cannot catch up. It's feeling like any idea that comes out of the idea fountain, we cannot catch up. There's no point in listening to someone that has too many ideas, because they are always going to come up with a different idea. Can everyone see that animation? Okay, good. I wanted to make sure you could see it. Okay. I would identify with an idea fountain. That is one of my diminishing tendencies. I always have ideas, but my team sometimes has to tell me, so stop, there's too much coming. We cannot keep up. Okay. Okay, next. Second one is called always on. Always on. Leaders with this tendency are very dynamic. They're always present. They always have something to say. They believe that their energy and their motivation will lift everybody around them. Always energetic. But our experience can be very overwhelming. We want to avoid them. We don't want to talk to them because they're always on. Their energy is very draining, okay? And their energy is more suffocating than helping. The third one, most common, is the rescuer, okay? Leaders with this tendency want to rescue others. They don't like to see other people fail. They don't like to see other people struggle. So at the first sign of a problem, these rescuers will swoop in and save the day. Ta-da! I'm a rescuer. I'm a rescuer, and I'll save you. My intent is so noble, okay? But what happens when we don't manage the intensity, this will happen. Okay. At any sign of a struggle, these rescuers will take over, right? Now, is it bad to rescue people? No, sometimes they usually need rescuing, but if we're always rescued, we cannot learn. Okay, this is like taking control. Oh gosh, I don't want this to fail. Let me take it. Let me do it. As women, we have a bad tendency to rescue people all the time. We don't like seeing other people fail, right? But sometimes as leaders, we are most helpful when we don't help. Okay. That is my favorite video. Okay, fourth one, pace setter. Okay, if you're setting the pace, these people are ambitious achievers. If you set something, your mind to it, you always do it. You have very high goals. You have very high standards of quality. Let's go. Let's keep going. Keep going. More. What happens if this is too intense? Everyone is going to stop and give up. We cannot keep up with you. It's very tiring. We are getting burnt out. Okay. They cause other people to just give up when they can't keep up because the pace is too much and the gap between you and everyone else is too wide and you're just not going anywhere. Okay. So those are 4, but there are 9 of them. Okay, so as we wrap up this part, I want to hear from you as you're looking at either these first 4 that I talked about or any of the others that you may have read. What do you feel is your top diminishing tendency? I shared with you mine. Mine is idea fountain. But what do you think for yourselves? This is all about self-awareness.
I think I'm a rescuer.
Okay, good.
I think I have some qualities of each of them, like a proportion of each of them is there in different days and
Intensity.
permutation combinations. There is a little bit of each in me, I think.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Anybody else? Oh, someone is trying to speak, but you're muted.
I think
Who's muted?
Peter was trying to say something, Isra. Sorry.
No, I think other than
Go
just, the 4 that we spoke about, I was looking and reading what you had shared. It was more about being the rescuer and optimist for me. I'm always positive, and then there's something negative that comes straight off. So yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. So the optimist tendency is you see the positive in everything. Everything will be okay. Everything will be okay. Don't worry. Stay positive. But if there's like catastrophe happening around you, your people are like, is she crazy? Like, no, nothing, not everything is okay. Right. So we sometimes as optimists fail to appreciate what others are feeling. Right. So there's that balance. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else?
Yeah,
yes.
It was a wonderful session, but what I feel is like, apart from the 4 top tendency, what you mentioned, rapid responder and an optimist. That's what I feel I've been often.
Okay. Okay. Rapid responder. So always showing up for things. Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Prashanti. Someone else has raised. Yeah, go ahead. Please raise your hand and speak.
Yeah, hi. So I think I'm an idea fountain, always on, optimistic and strategist. So I have this combination of this 4 personalities. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to share? Oh, I am unable to hear you very proper. It's very low.
Audible now? I've understood myself like,
Yeah, go ahead, Simran.
yeah, recently, like as I've started, I mean, I'm doing this diploma course, I've understood that I've become a protector, like, I mean, helping those special kids, and I've understood how to help them, and I'm understanding them. Like, it's like really, I feel nice doing that. So it's like, I mean, protector.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I mean, of course, you have to get new ideas how to teach them. So idea fountain is coming up in my mind.
Yeah, good, good. Okay, we have time for one more, and then I would like to wrap up and kind of set the stage for our time as a follow-up.
I think they're all good qualities, but they should be taken not too much. They should be in moderation. Like
Yeah,
if you
exactly.
or a rescuer, like what Sumita said about special needs, you don't know where to draw the line, when to stop protecting people and when to hold back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. So, like I said before, all of these tendencies are very positive, right? You have come so far up till today with all of these excellent qualities, ideas, helping people, protecting people, being positive, being optimistic. That has got you to where you are today. But if you want to elevate your impact, if you want to elevate your leadership, if you want to continue moving up and being more impactful and really developing your own leadership style, all of those qualities got you to this point. But those qualities that got you here won't get you there. Okay, we have to be very mindful of how we balance and how we come across. And that is what is going to be featured in our follow-up. So our follow-up next time is really how to build your individual leadership brand or your individual leadership style. And we'll speak about what energizes you, what things energize you versus what depletes your energy. So that's more of self-awareness. How to turn your superpower into genius. Okay, so how to apply your superpowers in ways that are multiplying and amplifying. And then lastly, we'll talk a lot more about how do we create space for other women to join in the conversation, so that we don't fall into that trap of sort of not falling into the trap of not supporting other women in the environment that we have. So that is what we have planned for next time. I want to open it up to anyone else that has anything to share, anything that they feel like they learned or that they took away. Okay, great. So if you're still thinking, and if you want to maybe continue the conversation on the WhatsApp group, that would be wonderful. And we can be available. I can be available to you to answer questions on the WhatsApp group. If you are still thinking about it, reflect it, and kind of each person share what they most learned about today. And that would actually be very good. And I'd be happy to share some additional resources as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Raji to wrap us up and get closed out.
Hi, everyone. I just want to thank Isra for conducting the workshop with so much energy, enthusiasm, and conviction in what you shared with us. Many thanks for your insight, input, and appreciate the very structured approach that you've given to such a wide topic. I think the most beautiful message to take home today for all of us is that we need to become more self-aware in order to self-lead and in order to lead others. So thank you, Isra, again. For any idea to culminate into a reality, there's a mix of ingredients that's needed. And those are a mix of people. Our awesome presenter, Isra, our unwavering IWA team, and our supporters who believe in our values in our work. So huge thank you to Gulf Bank for being our main supporter of Empower Women series and for always encouraging us. Indian Business and Professional Council for showing us that we may be different in our style and approach, but our goal is the same, which is to serve the society. A sincere thanks to Alisa Medical Group, Dhruv Nanda, Mr. Khadra, for their continuous commitment to IWA and Insurance Secure Group as well. Last but not the least, our participants for their interest, their enthusiasm, their very active participation, which has made this workshop even more worthwhile. Thank you again, everyone. We've got certificates for all of you, which will be mailed to you. And we'll see you at the next event. Details of the event will be messaged to you on the group. And once again, a big, big thank you to everyone.
All right, so welcome back. I'm so excited to continue the conversation with you all. So at this point, what we're going to do, I want to do a quick recap. So last week, we talked a lot about the current landscape of women, particularly women in leadership. I shared with you a lot of research. We came to a lot of insights and reflections. And then we talked a little bit about what gets in the way, you know, the barriers. And the highlight of our time together last time was really related to how do women get out of their own way, right? We talked about the systemic issues. We talked about the issues in our environment that we're not totally able to control, but we can control is ourselves and how we carry ourselves. So our barriers really were twofold. The first one was looking at the fact that oftentimes we're trying to fit in, we're trying to mold ourselves to fit into a very traditional definition of leadership. And that definition of leadership is outdated, right? And it doesn't do us any good to change ourselves in order to fit into the traditional benchmark of leadership. What is most effective is to make our key features and our strengths more pronounced so that we can really break the barriers moving forward instead of trying to change ourselves to fit into something that is really old and outdated. And then we talked about the barriers of women supporting women. We had a great discussion about, you know, why is it that we sometimes don't take the opportunity as women to support one another. And we talked about a lot of different barriers regarding that and what it will take to overcome it. Lastly, we talked about, you know, everything that has made us successful to this point has been because we are, you know, perfectionists. We like to not give up and things of that nature. And it's related to looking at things like what made us successful today will not make us successful tomorrow, especially if you are a leader in your community, if you are a leader in your workplace. We need to look at what are the things that have made it successful and how to manage that intensity of those strengths moving forward. So we talked a lot about our accidental diminishers, right? The idea fountain. I saw a lot of people in the WhatsApp group talking a lot about what they identify with. And all of this is just part of awareness, okay? Awareness, we sometimes underestimate the power of self-awareness, but as soon as you see something new, you cannot unsee it, right? As soon as you learn something new, you cannot ignore it anymore. So our conversation is really more about self-awareness, because once your eyes open up to a new perspective, it kind of changes your frame of reference, it changes your perspective, and then your behaviors will change because your core beliefs have shifted, okay? So, I would like to open the floor to anyone that has had any new insights, new reflections, anything that kind of came up during the week that was like, you know, I didn't think of it that way. Any light bulb that came off? I'm gonna go back to gallery view so I can see your lovely faces. Anything came up in the last week like, oh, I didn't think about that. Anyone?
I would want to share something. So it's an experience that happened this week. So as usual, my son came up with something and he said that I'm unable to do this. Okay. And I thought of, okay, I can help you like this and that. And then I realized, no, I'm not going to be a rescuer. And I said, okay, you find your way out. And then he actually succeeded in doing it. So I felt happy that way as well. Yeah. So that was a great reflection, I would say. It's a great reflection and it was a wonderful experience. So, okay, so let him take the lead and taking a back seat. And then he also went, Acha, I can also do this. So that was a wonderful experience. And I actually have to thank you for that.
Great. No, good for you for good catch, right? Good catch. Like, oh, my tendency is to go in and fix everything, right? Oh, my son needs help. You know, will I be a bad mother if I don't help him? No, you looked at it and you looked at it as, well, what is really the goal? The goal is for him to come up with something more independently. You'll be there to assist when needed, but not to take over. Right? So I'm sure that he experienced a lot of learning, a lot of growth just in that moment. So excellent job. Thank you. That's an excellent example. Anyone else?
I would like to add here that, of course, I wasn't there last time, but I'm also a big time rescuer. You know, I've always been at the rescuer bit. And, you know, then what I find myself is that I have too many things on my hands, which I cannot cope up, you know. And then what happens is things get pushed back and deadlines are not met sometimes. So now I've learned from you that, okay, I should just delegate rather than take up more than I can bite, you know. So thanks to you, I'm definitely going to put that into use from tomorrow itself, because we start work tomorrow. So I'm definitely going to put that into use, and I'm definitely sure that's going to work in a big time, you know. And also by me not being a rescuer all the time, I'm, you know, giving more confidence to the people working under me, like the teachers and my staff. So I'm giving them a bit of confidence that, okay, I have the confidence that they can achieve. Like Lulua shared, like, you know, she gave the confidence in her son and he was able to do it on his own. So similarly, like, you know, it will be building on their confidence as well, right? Thanks to you again.
Excellent.
Yes.
Really excellent, excellent example. And I think if we're looking at this in terms of patterns for women, you know, naturally we are protectors, we are rescuers, we are people that, you know, that really hold a lot of influence in our families and in our environments. And people look to us as the healers and the protectors, like, what should I do? And in a leadership position, right? First of all, it feels really good for people to come to you and say, hey, can you help me? Can you help me? Yeah, I can help you. I can help you, right? It feels really good to us when we can help, right? But what is the end goal? The end goal in leadership is to positively influence the people around us, the people that work for us, so that they can grow. So leadership is not rescuing. Leadership is not, how you would say, meddling and taking over. Leadership is never about you. It is never about you. Leadership is about the other people that you influence. So if we are having I have so many clients that have a hard time delegating. And when we really pull back, when I coach them and we really pull back, what is the reason why you are having difficulty delegating? It is about trust, right? I cannot trust them. I have to hold it on. What is going to happen if we fail? I'm going to fail. I have a boss, right? But the really important piece is the confidence. Like you said, Maria, I have confidence in you. You can do it. That is a very critical skill in leadership. Excellent. Thank you for sharing. Good, good. Excellent examples. Okay, let's move on. Very good examples here. Okay, so let's continue our conversation for our time together. So we're going to utilize our learning and our awareness that we had last week, and we're going to move into you. Okay, how do you develop your own leadership style? Leadership is not a one size fit all, right? I'm in a leadership position, but how I carry myself in leadership is very different than how my colleagues who are also leaders carry themselves. We all have the same goal, but what matters the most is how can you utilize your strengths, your genius, to really make a positive impact? Because remember, we are not changing ourselves. The key to development is building on who you already are. Okay, there's no point in trying to work on something that you are naturally not very good at. Okay, this is a huge shift in perspective, because even in the workplace, you get your performance appraisal, you get your evaluation. Here are all the things you're good at, and here are all your opportunities for improvement. I hate that phrase, right? Here are your strengths, here are your weaknesses. Okay, even let's say your children, they come back from school, they give you their marks, their reports. What do we focus on? The low marks, right? So true. Right? Oh gosh, I got 100 in biology. I got 100 in physics. I got 100 in chemistry. English, what happened? Why is it only 80? Why is it only 60? Right? Now, I'm not saying ignore your weaknesses. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is focus on your strengths. Because if you're doing what you're really naturally good at, doesn't it feel so good? Doesn't it feel empowering? If we're focusing always on the things that are going wrong, it's demoralizing. We might lose our confidence a little bit, right? Manage around your weaknesses. Weaknesses are not unimportant. I'm just saying your strengths are even more important, okay? So we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to spend a lot of time talking about navigating relationships as it relates to communication. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how do we create more space for other women using the tools that we're going to be learning today. Okay. All right. So let's start with uncovering your style and your genius. So I want you just to think, you can write this down. You can just think about it, whatever you have. I'm not going to ask you to share because that will take a lot of time. But I want you to really, for yourself, think about these questions. What gives you energy? What do you do during your day that gives you so much energy that you lose track of time? What puts you in the zone, right? What energizes you? And then on the opposite side, what completely drains your energy? What depletes your energy? Okay, I'm going to give you maybe a 1 minute. Again, this is just solo work, just to think about it, write it down, put it on your phone, or just think about it in your mind. And then I'll share with you some examples. Okay. So just wrap up your final thought. And I'd like for you to just take a look at your list, or take a look at, as a whole, are you seeing any patterns? Are you seeing any themes based off of what energizes you versus what depletes you? So for example, I'll give you mine. Okay. What gives me so much energy is doing this, right? Providing a space for discussion of different people to come together, share their thoughts, and I'm able to facilitate the process for people to learn and grow. Watching people learn and grow and hearing them say that they utilize something that I taught them and their lives have essentially changed. Oh my goodness, that lights up my life. I also really enjoy looking at data. I enjoy looking at numbers. I don't like number crunching, but I like looking at research. I like looking at the patterns. I like connecting different concepts together so that I can make a new idea. I also love coaching. What puts me in the zone, I love working one-on-one with leaders so that we can really get to the root of what their barriers are, what is getting in the way of them achieving their dreams. And I enjoy watching people transform. So all of those things are what give me energy. And that tells me what I'm good at, right? What gives you energy is what you are good at. So that tells me that my strengths are really to advocate for people's development and growth. That is my superpower. That is my strength. Now, on the opposite side, what completely depletes my energy? Oh my goodness, meetings. I hate meetings. I hate meetings that don't talk about big picture things. I hate meetings where we're looking at all together, we're looking at one document and we're looking line by line. Okay, number one, we need to change that word. Number two, we need to add a full stop here. Number three, we need to change this. I cannot, because I feel drained when we go into that level of detail and we need to spend time in a meeting, right? That doesn't really have a purpose, right? So again, what drains me is things that don't have a purpose. Okay, so that tells me what I'm not good at. I'm not good at wordsmithing. I'm not good at going into deep details about things. Now, does that mean that I'm a bad leader? No, I just am aware of what drains me versus what energizes me. So I take the things that drain me and I find people on my team who are energized by the details. And I say, here you go. This is what you like to do. This is what you can do, right? So we have to find people around us that are complementing our strengths. That's the key of delegating, right? I'm not good at this. It will take a lot of time for me to do this, but you are good at this. Here you go. Okay. Does anyone have anything to share in terms of their energizers and their depleters?
I would like to add here that what energizes me most is positivity, having positive talks, talking about positive things, like you said, the big picture, looking at the big picture, I don't like to look at the small things, what happening just now or this. We always look at the bigger picture. And, when everything is working in a good way, like in a clockwork, it makes me very happy. And, it gives me more energy to, put in some more. Once something goes wrong here and there, oh my God, it drains me out completely. So this is what depletes me also, in a way. If something is not going according to my mindset, it depletes me. But yes, I'm trying to come to make amends with it, because living with my family and, now even work-wise or even in the family, personally living with my daughter-in-law and all, we have to give away a lot of things, things like she wants to do in her way. So, we have to make amends there. I have to change myself. Yes. So this is the two things. Yes.
Great example. Anyone else would like to share?
Yeah, I like in my stream. like in my stream, my passion really gives me the strength, and my anxiety gets me down. That's the first part here.
Okay. Yeah. So when you say your passion gives you strength, what are some examples of that?
For example, if I have to give like day for yesterday only, I had to give the 5 students. So they are all intellectually disabled. I had to give a session on teaching how to do coloring. So I knew how to. I didn't have to get angry with them, and with compassion, I taught them how to color a butterfly. That was like
Yeah.
interesting for me. I enjoyed it with the
Yeah.
patience and the
Good.
compassion.
Yeah. Good. Patience, compassion, and working with, it sounds to me like working with others that are open to the idea of coloring a butterfly, right? And providing them the tools, providing them the easy way to do it, is something that based off of what you're saying, like you're really advocating for them, like, yes, you can do it, and here are the tools, right? So, and then you mentioned your depleters are like sort of like your stress and anxiety. Is that right?
My stress and my sometimes I feel like I myself feel like telling my own self that I'm not confident or I'm not good at it at times. That makes me go down in my own way.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. Hands up if you feel the same way, like, oh gosh, I'm not good at this. Okay, look, you're in good company, Samrata. Okay, me too. You're in good. You are not alone. You are not alone when you feel that way. Okay, good. What else? Anyone else want to share? One more. We'll have time for one more sharing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So with me, it's like as I'm handling sales and marketing in IT, so there are two different kind of roles I usually play. One is like with the management, of course, where we have our goals for the year, so 5-year plan, 1-year plan, and so on. And then one is a smaller goal, which I have with my team, So it's like, what energizes me is also this smaller goals that I come up with, because that main goal is always there, but then I need to sit with my team and see how we can achieve it. So that requires again a lot of planning, direction, counseling, and a lot of other activities. And I think I'm good at it, and I love doing it, and that energizes me, especially when my team achieves that success. When I get my reports, when I see it on the dashboard, the weekly goal is met or the monthly goal is met. So I know I'm heading towards the main goal, and that really energizes me. And then of course we do have those slack season when we know it's a shorter month, like Feb is a shorter month, and few months when we have a downtime, and then that's it. Now what am I going to do? Like this is going to be, so again planning and sitting with the team, then again I come up with that energy again, so this is how it works for me. And yes, I love doing what I do. Thank you.
So yeah, you mentioned, I think I'm good at it. I think I'm good at it, but I love doing it. I'm so passionate about it. If you're passionate about it, if you get energy from it, you are good at it. Okay?
Yes.
Don't doubt yourself. You are good at it. If you get energy from it, it is very likely that others can pick up on that, and you are good at it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shira. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on. I love the energy in the room. Thank you so much for your sharing. Okay, next. I want 2 brave volunteers to go through an exercise with me about finding your genius. 2 brave volunteers. Raise your hand. Okay, Maria. And okay, I saw, okay. And I saw Simrata. Okay. So what I'm going to do is part one. Maria, I'm going to ask you some questions and I want you to answer them briefly in a few words, okay? Based off of your answers, I am going to try and name your genius, okay? So I'm going to give you your genius. Ready?
Ready.
Okay. So question number one. Maria, what can you do? What do you do? Sorry, my dog is drinking water. What can you do better than anybody else? What do you do?
Work-wise, I'm very good at delegating work and managing, how the workforce works.
Okay.
And
what do you do? Yeah, go ahead.
And I also have a strategy of following up whether things like the things that I've told them to do, has it been done or not done, or how I can help them, to do it better or something.
Okay, great. What do you do really well without any effort, without even being asked? What do you do naturally without even being asked?
Without being asked is like I would just go out and help, like be the rescuer.
Okay. 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 What do you generally find when people come to you for help? What do they say to you? Like, oh, Maria, you're really good at this. Can you help me? What do people come to you for?
They just say that, can you help me with this? Can you help me with so and so? And that they take a lot of things from me. I've always got compliments from them saying that they've learned a lot of things from me in the teaching field and everything. So they always say that, yes, you're good at this, and please, if you can just help me with this, how to go about handling a child, like how Simrata shared also about her experience about the coloring thing. I also deal with the same age group, the small children. So how do we handle this certain child, if they are being very they're throwing a lot of tantrum, or they're being too hyper. So how do we handle cases like this? So, because I've done child psychology, so, maybe I have a better mindset to help them around.
Okay, great. Yeah. So based off of what you shared, Maria, I already know what your genius is.
Okay.
Okay. Your genius, I think, you tell me if it fits, but your genius is you are a warrior. You are a warrior with delegating, jumping in when it's needed, moving somewhat, I can sense that you're a very fast-paced person.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then you have a lot of wisdom with your experience. And when something comes, like, this is what you need to do. Like, no questions. I know what it is. So you're like a warrior, right? With the principle.
My father always called me a warrior. My father always called me a soldier,
Can you believe right? That? Wow.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, absolutely.
So
he's up there watching now, and he must be really beaming.
Oh, good, mashallah. So at this point, so I don't even know you, but I could sense you're a warrior. How does it feel right now to you?
Oh my God, you've made me so elated. Like, like everything, I'm a very big fan of my father and his ideals and everything, whatever he taught us. And you've really put me in the right place again, You just given me a big wake-up call once again. Things that were pushed back, it's all coming back to me now. I said, okay, now I need to pick up the reins again,
Excellent, excellent. Look, so that is your genius. You are Maria the warrior, right? That is your genius.
Thank you.
Okay? Yes, of course. Okay, who is Simrata? Are you ready? Okay, so I'm going to ask you the same questions, but I want everybody in the group to listen and share what they think Simrata's genius is. Okay? All right. So, Simrata, what do you do better than anybody else? You're muted, my dear. Nope.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Okay. My sincerity
Okay,
with
what
my
do you
teacher.
do? Okay, go ahead. Yes.
My one first sincerity, like sincerity with my teachers. Like if they ask me some things, that's one thing. Then again, I said like, my compassion with those children, like either be a dyslexic or anyone. I have compassion with them, like with patience and treating them with compassion, not getting angry at them.
Okay.
I mean, I enjoy it doing it with them. But
Good.
what gets me down, I just said my anxiety when if a teacher is looking
No,
at
no,
me
no, we're
around.
not. No, 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 no. We're not talking about what gets you down. Focus on what you're good at. Okay. Focus on what you're good at. It's okay. All right. Next question. What do you do freely without effort, without being asked?
If I'm not asked to do something, then I'll get a little scared about if my teacher is looking at me and telling me, okay, you have to do this, you have to give a session today, and I'll be a little scared about it, but I'll do it. I won't say no to it. I'll do it.
Okay, good. What do other people come to you for in terms of help?
They do ask me, help me, can you help me write we have to do the skills we have to do. So they ask me, can you help me do this? Like because I generally, they see me give my assignments, I've given them first. So they see that I prepare them. So they always come to me and they say, please help me write.
Okay, good.
What is
Good. So it sounds like you're able to define needs and they come to you to help them define needs as well. And then kind of bridge the gap between what the needs are and kind of what the skills are needed. Good. Okay, great. So team, what is Simrata's genius? I already have a few words, but what would you say?
I feel like she's an enabler, like she helps people find the potential in themselves.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. Good. Enabler. Anything else to build on that?
She's also a rapid responder, like she responds to her response to everyone is pretty positive, a positive rapid responder, maybe. Yeah. I believe very seldom she would say a no. I'm sure it's always a yes coming from her, So this is what I see about her. Yeah.
Excellent. Good. Anyone else?
Like she says, she's very compassionate about her work. So she's always out there, she's like the go-to person, like I would, just say that, okay, since I'm in a fix, I will go to Simrata and she's there. Like how Rashida added that she's always very helpful and also like, the go-to person, very dependable. She's a very dependable person also.
Good.
I would say a reliable person who doesn't need to be told to do things, who would go out of her way to do it herself.
Great. Good. So I heard enabler, rapid responder, dependable, reliable. Simrata, I think that you're genius. You are a healer. You are a healer with your sincerity. The first word you said was sincerity, compassion, patience, You are a healer, and you give voice to kids that don't necessarily have a voice. You give them a voice. You give them a channel to express themselves. You are a healer. Okay? How does that feel to you?
That feels really nice. I mean,
Yeah, that is your
that feels,
genius. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. You are a healer. Okay?
thank you, everyone.
Yeah. See, what we're doing now, ladies, what we're doing now, we're supporting each other. We are making space for each other, right? We are lifting each other up. This is what we need to continue doing in our spaces, okay? Help others find their genius, okay? And name your own genius, okay? Find out what your genius is and look around and say, gosh, Simrata, you really are a healer. Maria, you really are a warrior. Okay? You really are. Here are some other examples of different words that I've seen before that are used in defining people's genius. Let me just share this. Okay. Where are we going? Okay. So these are the questions you can consider using these in your own for yourself as well as others. But here are some examples, right? You have helper, healer, you're a builder, you're an architect, you're a connector, you're a warrior, you're a peacemaker. Feel free to add your own. For myself, what I feel my genius is I am a connector. I'm absolutely a connector. I like to connect people. I like to connect concepts. I like to connect with others. So I'm definitely a connector. And maybe my next secondary genius is a builder. I love to build things from scratch, big picture, big ideas. So that's my genius. Okay. Excellent. All right. So name that genius. Let's move on. So at this point, let's talk about relation. We're going to shift our perspective a little bit, and we'll talk about conflict. Okay, let's talk about communication and conflict. So there are different qualities of relationships that you may have in your work, in your place of work, and things like that. So the one thing that we are always afraid of, and the one thing that makes it feel very poor, is when we have hostile relationships. When I say hostile, what I mean is that there is barriers in the middle of relationships that could be as a result of personality styles, communication styles, a lack of clarity of roles, lack of priorities, and you're just doing this, right? You're just in a hostile, contentious relationship. Maybe it's not even the whole relationship, maybe it's just a contentious interaction. Okay. So just a quick show of hands, has anyone had a contentious interaction before in their career? I don't know if hands are going up.
Sorry, Isra, I just missed the last sentence. Can you just go over it again? Just sorry about that.
Yes, of course. So I just want to get a sense for who has had a contentious or hostile interaction before in their career. It doesn't have to be like you're like punching each other, but like arguments, disagreements. You don't feel good about a relationship. Okay, I see a few hands going up. Good. Good. Yes, everybody's hands need to go up. Okay, because we're not perfect. Now, hostile again doesn't mean overt. It can mean you're silently, in a contentious, like I don't even want to look at that person. You come to a meeting, you see that person there. Oh my goodness, I don't want, like, that's contentious. The research says that any contentious interaction automatically impacts your performance, automatically impacts your goals, your outcomes, your results, right? So what is really important to understand is nobody, 99.9% of people never intend to be in a hostile interaction. If we're assuming positive intent, nobody really wants to be here, but we get them, we fall into them, right? For some reason, which we'll get into later, we fall into them. Nobody wants to be there. But if we're not in this contentious relationship, there are other relationships, the quality of relationships look different. So for example, we have coexisting relationships, right? We're not arguing, we're not, we can be in the same room with them, but we still have thoughts about them, right? Okay, yeah, I will agree to disagree. You're just coexisting, you're just tolerating each other, right? So be thinking about, do you have any relationships or experiences with just being in a coexisting relationship at work, right? Okay, fine, I'll just work with you, but I actually still don't respect you. Okay, that's just tolerating, just coexisting. The next mode of relationship is satisfying. You have a satisfying relationship. You're not just coexisting, you're talking to each other, you're making agreements, commitments, status quo. That's good. Okay. Then there's another highly, highly rewarding relationship that is dynamic. A dynamic relationship is where you're building things together, you have dynamic problem solving, you have ideas, there's a lot of trust in your relationships, things of that nature. So the key takeaway from here is that nobody, including yourselves, ever want to be in hostile relationships or contentious. That's just, that is just not acceptable, okay, for your work. But you have different options other than that. So do all of your relationships at work need to be dynamic? No. Some of them just need to be at a satisfactory level. Some of them may be in the coexisting level. There's still some things that are getting in the way of your relationship that maybe you need to hash out, maybe you need to talk through, maybe you need to resolve, right? So be intentional about what types of relationships do I need to have in order to be successful in my role. Again, not everything has to be dynamic, you don't have to like hug everybody, not everyone has to be your best friend. Sometimes you just need to be satisfied with satisfied. Okay, it doesn't have to, not everything has to be completely dynamic, so you have choices. But what is the reason that we get into the hostile relationships or we get stuck in coexisting? We're now going to talk about how do we avoid hostile relationships, or if we fall into it, how do we recover from it? Okay, so this is going to be the focus for the rest of our time together. Okay, so the 4 steps, there are 4 steps. Number 1, be aware. We've already talked about being raising self-awareness. Number 2, check your stories. Number 3 is listening. And number 4, reframe your language. Reframe your words. Okay, so number 1, to be aware. Being aware of how we come across is very important. Sometimes we feel like we come across one way, but we are not aware of how we're being perceived. Okay, so if we feel like we're being a good leader, but other people are like, you're not a great leader, we need to be aware of how we're being perceived. And one of the simplest ways to understand that is your communication style. Every single person has a different style of communication. There's no one style that is wrong, and there's no one style that is the best. Please, please, please remember that as we go through this. There is no style that is wrong. There's no style that is the best. Okay. So what is your style? We have 4 different types of communication styles, and they're all based on how assertive you are or how expressive you are. So let's talk about the word assertiveness. Okay. What do you feel is the definition of being assertive? What does it mean to be assertive?
To be
Standing by
assertive is
strongly of what you feel.
One more time, Mufida.
Standing by strongly of what you feel and what you want to say.
Okay, good. Okay, what else?
to be assertive is to be able to tell what one wants from the other person, or wants the other person to do, or wants the situation to be in a clear manner, in a polite manner, without being aggressive.
Good. Wow, that's great. So I did a class for some clinicians actually this last week, and I asked them what is the definition of assertiveness, and they said intimidating, aggressive, bully, blah blah blah. I said no, that is not assertive. That is not the definition of assertiveness. You all just defined assertiveness the right way. Okay. So if you have high assertiveness, that basically means, Dr. Reena, exactly right. You share information by telling. You tell. If you have low assertiveness, you share information by asking. That's it. So if someone is low on assertiveness, it does not mean that they are not confident. It does not mean that they are weak. Okay. Oh, she's not assertive. She's not a good leader. No. Right? We don't look at assertiveness that way anymore. Outdated definition. Okay. So excellent. So at this point, so you can have high assertiveness or low assertiveness. Okay. High assertion, low assertiveness. And it's basically how do you share information. Yeah. Clear. Okay. Yeah, so you tell or you ask. Now, expression, high expressiveness or low expressiveness. Expression basically means the degree to which you share your emotions. So high expression, you display them. Low expression, you control your emotions. So low expressiveness does not mean that you don't have emotion. It means you're controlling it. You're not expressing how you feel as often. So different combinations of assertiveness and expressiveness lead you to have, one of four styles, a dominant style. So here's what they are. High assertiveness, low expressiveness, you have a direct communication style. High assertiveness, high expressiveness, you're considered to have a spirited communication style. Next, high expression, low assertiveness, considerate. And then finally, low expressiveness, low assertiveness, systematic. Okay. So if someone has a direct communication style, what that means is they want you to get to the point. Point A, point B. Very decisive, likes to take risks, doesn't like to get inside the details, right? Makes very, very strong decisions, kind of competitive, speaks their mind. Okay, that's direct. On the other side, spirited, they're highly assertive as well as expressive. So your spirited communication style, you love to tell stories. You're very persuasive. You can persuade anybody to buy anything. A lot of salespeople are highly spirited. Okay, they're very motivating. They're your cheerleaders. They're the glue that holds the team together. Okay, they love talking. They'll tell you a story for everything. They're very spirited. Considerate communication style are the people that do the best listening. They are your advisors. They help you through your problems. They're considered the counselors. They're considered your really good friends. They do a lot of listening. They're very reliable, very steady. They don't really they don't really like to make a lot of decisions. They will really think through the relationships, okay, impacted. And then finally, systematic, precision, logic, facts, data. They want to have all the information before they make a decision, okay? You can even tell what someone's communication style is based on how they shake your hand. I mean, now with COVID, it's a little bit different, but if it's a firm handshake, maybe direct. If it's a very, enthusiastic handshake, it's spirited. If it's a soft handshake, it's probably considerate. It's a firm, very brief handshake, it's systematic, okay? It actually works. So this is the model of communication styles. So based off of what I just shared, is anyone able to tell just off the bat what they think their style is, just looking at the model?
I think I'm considerate.
You're nodding. Kamini, you're considerate. Mafida,
Yeah.
how about you?
Yeah, I think I'm considerate, but there are times like probably I'm very spirited when it comes to my boss, and then he's direct when it comes to me.
Okay.
Oh,
good. Yeah. Anyone else?
I think I'm somewhere between considerate and systematic.
Okay. Good. Rashida?
Yes, I think I'm spirited and direct. Somewhere,
okay.
But of course, more on the spirited side, I think, because people do say I'm very expressive.
I think you're spirited.
Yeah.
Dr. Reena?
I'm also trying to think whether it's direct or spirited, but I would be in one of these only, direct or spirited.
Yeah. Yeah. Maria? Oh, cannot hear you, but I think you said direct.
I'm direct. I think I'm more direct.
Yeah, good. Good, excellent. Very good. What do you think I am?
Spirited. Spirited.
Okay. My mother is on the line. What do you think I am, Mom?
Also considerate, I think.
I think you're considerate.
Yeah. I think
you're considerate.
Yeah, because of the style in which you're talking and asking everybody their opinion.
Okay. I have taken, there's actually an assessment that you can take, answer the questions, and it'll tell you what your style is. And I will share this assessment with you on the WhatsApp group after our class. I have taken this assessment many times over the last 10, 15 years. And I always have systematic as my number one. But I also have considerate as my number two, okay? Lately, more recently, I've become more direct, okay? So you will always have a dominant style, but if you have a secondary style, it'll almost always share a border with the model, okay? Not diagonal, but almost share a border. So if you are direct, you might be spirited or systematic, okay? For me, I'm systematic and I'm also very considerate. And recently I've become more direct because I have more responsibilities. I've just got a promotion, all these things. So I feel like I have to be a little bit more direct. My direct style is coming out. So here's the thing. I think all of you have identified what your primary style is. The thing with conflict is that, for example, if you are direct, you will likely have coexisting or contentious interactions with people that are diagonally opposite from you. So considerate, you will likely have more conflict with people that are direct, okay? Same thing with systematic and spirited. Systematic people like the facts, like the logic, and then if they're interacting with a spirited person, it may, as a systematic person, I go crazy working with spirited people. they they talk a lot, and I'm like, stop talking, right? What's the point? But what I'm able to do now is that I'm able to see how a spirited person really adds value to my work. Okay. And they have actually become my best friends, my closest colleagues, the people that I have strong partnerships with. I love working with spirited people because we can get so much more done. Okay. Okay, now being aware of your stories. What this means is, what assumptions are you making about other people? Okay. I usually shared this example of when I'm driving. Okay. When I'm driving, I drive on the road and there's a certain speed limit, let's just say 50 miles an hour. I'm going 55. I'm speeding just a little bit. But a very, very, very large car, like a pickup, it's red in color and it's very big. It comes speeding down and I'm in the slow lane, and it comes speeding down and they come really close to me from behind. And they're coming really close to me. What are the assumptions that I'm making about this driver? What are they?
He's very rash. He's
Reckless
not
driver,
bothered.
yeah.
Yes, he's not bothered about his life nor others.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reckless driving, you know, like reckless. The driver is very reckless.
He wants to show power.
He's perhaps not focused today. He's like, you know, he's lost his focus, perhaps.
Yeah, so the story that I'm telling myself is a very ugly story. Okay. So I'm automatically calling him names in my head. I'm automatically saying, who does he think he is, owning the road? Blah, 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 blah. And I start shouting, you know, at him from my car. And just notice, all of us automatically assumed it was a man.
Yeah.
Right?
So true.
That's the story. That's the story, right? So be aware of the ugly stories that you're telling yourself, okay? Because sometimes they may not be true. Okay, what story are you telling yourself? And there are different types of stories, right? There's a victim story. Oh, nothing's my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. Or you tell a villain story. Oh, it's all their fault, right? He's reckless. He's this, he's that. He's a control freak. He wants to show his power on the road. Villain. And then there's a helpless story. I tried everything. What's the point in saying anything? I tried everything. It's a very kind of defeatist story. So what I'm saying is, don't eliminate stories from your mind. Just remember to check them. Check them. Be aware of them. What story am I telling myself? When I'm interacting with a systematic communicator, the story I'm telling myself is they never take things seriously. All they want to do is have fun. All they want to do is tell a story. Well, maybe that's not true. Yeah? Check the story. Check the story. The story they're telling themselves about me, God, Isra is so boring. She's so dull. All she wants to do is talk about data. All she wants to do is structure, 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 right? That's the story they're telling themselves about me. So be aware of them. Okay, we don't have time for examples, but I do want to move on. Now, listening. The most important piece about listening is to listen at the right level. There are different levels of listening. So level 0 is not listening. Okay, you're just not paying attention. Level 1, you're pretending to listen. What you're really doing is multitasking, right? On your next Zoom call, count the number of times you pick up your phone, or you're doing this, you're doing that, right? You're petting your cat. You're not really listening. You're pretending to listen. The next one is selective listening. Now, if we're doing that, there may be a high risk of conflict, okay? Because you're not truly listening to everything that someone is trying to tell you. Level 3 is attentive listening. This is most frequently used. You're being attentive to what is being said, the information that you're getting. And the highest level of listening is empathetic listening. It is difficult to do this because you have to remain present. And empathetic listening is the capacity to truly understand where another person is coming from. Okay. What I'm saying is try to listen at the right level given the context that you're in. If it is someone on your team, if it's, Maria, if it's a parent that you're speaking to, Simrita, if it's a parent that you're speaking to, if it's your boss, Rashid, if it's your team, it may be a good idea to practice more of the empathetic listening, right? It's difficult, but most rewarding. But try to, at least at a baseline, keep at attentive listening. And if you're unable to listen, maybe it might be a good idea to say, I'm having a hard time listening right now. Can we follow up if there's time so that I can be in a better place to listen? Okay. Lastly, reframe your words. This works very, very well. If you're able to understand what your style is, you can utilize different type of language when you're interacting with different styles. If you're able to pick up on what someone else's style is, you can say, Maria, I know that you're a direct communicator. This is how I work. I'm more of a systematic communicator. I know that you will probably want to have an answer very quickly on some of the things you're working on, but I'm more systematic. I'm going to need a little bit more time to gather all the data that might delay my decision making. Can we come to an agreement of when our deadline is going to be? You see what I just did? I utilized the language to acknowledge your style as well as acknowledge my style to try and come to an agreement. Okay. So the key here is don't change your style. Be aware of other styles and use the language that way. Okay. All right. Lastly, this is our wrap up. Okay. How are we going to create space for other women? Well, the first thing is to have courage. Courage can be both careful and it can be bold. We need to balance the two depending on our context. We need to build allies in relationships. If you're in a group setting and you notice other women that are being left out of a conversation, maybe because they have a different style, maybe because they have another type of diminishing tendency, notice who is being left out and jump in to reinforce their ideas. Okay. And then at the big picture level, how will you advocate for other women? Make a stand on what is important and needs immediate attention. So I'll leave you with this. This is a very, very impactful and powerful quote about courage that I love. It's by Winston Churchill. Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. And it's also what it takes to sit down and listen. Courage is both careful and bold. Okay. So as we wrap up, I'd like to hear from you all. What is at least one thing that you learned from our time together and one thing that you will do differently? Let's go around and go around the gallery. Simrita, one thing you learned, one thing you'll do differently. You're muted again.
Audible now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Reframe my words.
Okay, very good.
Like, how am I going
Reframing
to,
your words.
especially with the parents? And then
Good.
Listen at the right time. You said, be aware. Not only on my, not only in my, as a student, but otherwise also be aware all the time.
Good. Thank you. Mufida.
Right. For me, it would be firstly try and understand the opposite person's style and genius, because that helps me understand the person or deal with the person better. And second thing, I do have a lot of hostile and coexisting relationships at work. So I think my by understanding the style and the style and the genius will help me try to get that relation to at least to a satisfied level.
Excellent. Thank you. Excellent. Lulua.
Finding my genius, that was something that I loved. I mean, and that was a key takeaway. And the style, so being considerate and being direct, so that was something which I understood. So I think this will help me in my day-to-day relationships, so especially with my immediate supervisor. So I always have this we always, I mean, all of us, I mean, I wouldn't just say about me, but then we always have this, she is not listening or something. But then sometimes, we forget to understand the other person's perspective. Maybe she's occupied with something, or maybe she has something running on her mind, because maybe she has more responsibilities than I have. But then, it's always about me, but we forget to understand the other person. But I think this will always also give me empathetic listening is something, yeah. And especially when you mention parents, that is something that we need to do all the time.
Excellent. Thank you. Maria. You're muted.
Yeah, I will take what I have taken back is like, I feel I'm very direct, try to be more systematic, try to incorporate little systematic in my behavior. And yes, I do listen to a certain extent, but yes, I like to talk more. So I will be a listener now. I try to be more of a listener and have empathy in whatever I say and frame my words a little better when I'm speaking.
Thank you. Excellent. Rashida. Oh, you're muted also. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, okay. So yes, I have understood my genius and I've understood my own style. And at the same time, I have also started labeling my co-workers. Now I understand how each one's style is. So my takeaway now is like, I have understood that little trick or tip or whatever. I think now next time from tomorrow onwards, I would know that this person is a direct person and this is where I'm going to handle him. And this person is more of, so along with my style, I've started even understanding other people's style, so this is what I feel is a very big takeaway for me today. So yes, that's one of the things. And then I love the thing, what energizes you. I love that. I was able to, actually, it's a little funny, but along with whatever we do daily, there's also that thing came to my mind, a cup of coffee energizes me. So that is something. So yeah, so even that was an added thing to all that I have learned. And yeah, thank you, Isra. It was really interesting and very educational, very educative.
You are most welcome. Thank you. Let's move on, Dr. Reena, and then Kamini, you're next after Dr. Reena. You are also muted.
Sorry. Thank you for this excellent interaction which we had today. To start off, it made me think about what are the things which energize me, which we usually don't think, and what are the things which we get depleted from. And once you have an awareness about that, you can nurture those things which energize you and keep away and try to modify the things which deplete your energy.
Excellent.
Then about the quality of relationships, yes, yes, we cannot have the same level of relationships and expect the same from everyone. And the success lies in the ability to tolerate and to get the best of different kind of relationships. And
Good.
other thing, what is very important is that our communication style, I think we should not have all direct or all spirited or all considerate or all systematic. We should have varying shades of these with different kind of people. So the wisdom lies in to analyze that person and the situation, and to change our communication style according to that. And that would bring the best out of us, and best out of them, and best out of the situation, to to really lead and to really end up with success, rather than
very good very
pushing us
good
into
summary.
one bracket. Okay, I am direct.
Excellent.
No, I will not be considerate. No, we have to have different shades of it at different levels, different times. This 4 steps was
Thank you,
very
Dr.
good.
Reena, for sharing that.
Yeah, the 4 steps is really good to be aware and to check stories. So many assumptions we do every every single moment of our life, and to be able to listen and reframing. That was really good. Thank you so much.
Great.
I'm
I
really
want to
happy I attended.
give Kamini a chance to reflect. Kamini, feel free to unmute yourself and share. Thank you, Dr. Reena.
I think I really enjoyed this session. Like I love how everyone, like being on an online forum, it's so difficult to interact and actually spell out how you feel, and I feel like you really enable that. Like I love that, and I feel like it helped all of us like dig deeper into ourselves, understand our like understand that it's very important to focus on those strengths, and like push ourselves forward, be our own cheerleader. I think that's so important that we fail to do. Yeah, and I think I wanted to like understand what leadership was about, and I feel like you displayed that so well, like in the way that you influenced us in these sessions. Like I feel like that kind of positive influence is what it's about. It's not about dominating or like I don't know, controlling. It's more about having that kind of empathy, understanding where people come from, and being able to influence them and pull them up. That's what it's about, and I that's what I feel I've understood, and yeah, I really
Fantastic.
liked.
Thank you very much. I
Thank
hope I
you.
haven't missed anybody, but just really quickly, I do want to offer a couple of things. I do offer professional coaching. I'm a certified professional coach through the International Coach Federation. I do offer one-on-one sessions. I do have some availability for clients. I coach people from all over the world. I coach a lot in my organization. I coach physicians, leaders, artists, writers. So I am more than happy to take on a couple of more clients. So you are welcome, if you're interested to learn more, to email me or send me a message on WhatsApp. Those are my details. And then please, you all are so wonderful, and you carry so much influence. I'd like to keep in touch and get a sense for what you're continuing to do in the world. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on there. You can keep up on some of my activities and other things that I'm doing, other talks that I'm doing. So feel free to use that and search for me on LinkedIn, and the link is here on the slide as well. So there we have it. This is the end of our session. I do believe that we have a need to capture our lovely faces in a group photo. I have no idea how to do that.
Isra, shift, control, and 4. Just press it together.
Okay. I have a Mac.
Okay, so shift, command, and 4. If you press it together,
okay.
And then there'll be a small icon. You just have to sort of spread it out, and it takes the picture.
Okay. Can everyone turn on their faces, do your hair, and please, please, please. I see some folks that are not on their. Okay, Dr. Reena, thank you. Kamini, thank you. Okay. All right. Shift command 4. All right. 1, 2, 3. Okay, keep smiling. 1, 2, 3. Done.
Yes. Thank you so much, Isra. That was absolutely wonderful.
Okay, everybody. I think without further ado, we can wrap up. I just want to thank each and every one of you as individuals. You have, I am so proud and I'm so excited with the things that you've learned and the things you're going to take away. I really hope that we're able to stay in touch.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Really, really lot. Really, you cannot believe how much we are taking away. All of us. I think I'm sure when I say we, I mean all of us. We are really so highly blessed to be here. Really, really. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. This energizes me. So I did my job.
Yes, and
Thank
you
you
did
very
your
much,
job very
Isra.
well. It's not that you just did your job, you did your job very well. I really
Very
loved
well.
the session.
Thank you.
And it was so important, to attend the session. This is how I feel today. Yeah.
Thank you so
So
much.
important.
Okay, I remain a resource for you. So keep in touch if you can. And for those of you in Kuwait, I will be in Kuwait next week. So maybe we can catch up and have a coffee or something, and we'll go from there.
That would be
Yes,
lovely.
let's
Yes.
do that.
All right.
Let's do that.
That would be
Please let
lovely,
us
yes.
know. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Great. I would love
Thank
to see you all
you.
in person. Thank you. Good night.
Thank
Good
you.
morning.
Good night.
Good
Bye-bye.
night. Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Keep in touch, everybody, please.
Yeah. Bye.